different performance levels. But before I go to any of the technical details or the performance specs or anything like that, let me just ask the question that why are we doing this? What is the problem that we are solving with these monitors? Now, these monitors basically have the same physical size as most of the two-way monitors on the market at the moment. So why not have a high-quality two-way monitor? Why go for a three-way? There are certain absolute benefits for chopping up the audio bandwidth to smaller sections. I mean, it's pretty obvious. If you are exercising each power amplifier, each driver with a smaller bandwidth, then you are able to optimize the driver and the power amplifier better for that frequency packet. And this is the fundamental benefit that exists for all three-way designs, all multi-way designs with a high number of output channels. So you can increase the maximum SPN, you can reduce the harmonic and intermodulation distortion problems. And all of this means that you can play louder, a cleaner sound. So you can increase your system performance without negative side effects. And this, of course, is the fundamental motivating reason for everybody who is designing three-way monitors instead of two-way monitors. Now, our burning desire is to offer the audio community products that really deliver exactly what has been recorded. This is the motivation also behind this design. So we want to have monitoring loudspeakers that do not change the sound. So whatever we can do in order to keep the audio clean at all output levels is what we are looking for here. The basic challenge is if you don't have the luxury of working with a big loudspeaker cabinet, is that you have to physically fit in multiple drivers in the front baffle. And that is obviously challenging. If you have a typical three-way compact monitor design, then most of the front baffle is filled with drivers. So, and you don't really have the possibility of building any additional structures in the front baffle that would help and aid and support, for example, directivity control. Before I go into any of that, let me just show you an example of a high-performance modern two-way monitor over a high-performance modern three-way monitor. And let's talk about intermodulation distortion. And of course, once we start talking about this, we want to select the most challenging signal. There should be a signal that has low frequencies, mid frequencies, high frequencies, everything. We should throw in a complex signal into, it's not me, into the loudspeaker, and so let's look out of the door. If you don't see smoke, then we can see for a couple of minutes more. Are driven pretty hard with a complex multi-tone signal. So the multi-tone signal contains very low frequencies, and then it's challenging the monitor with all signals going up to very high tweeter frequencies. And when you do this, obviously the power supply is loaded, or the power amplifiers are working at the maximum capacity. The drivers are moving in a very complex way, because remember, we are throwing in a complex signal that has multiple frequencies operating simultaneously. So the drivers are doing very interesting movements here. And all of this is generating an amount of non-linearity. And the non-linearity you see here in black color. So basically black color is something that we don't want to see here. So if we see black color, it means that we have created some audio that should not be there. So we are hearing something that we should not hear. If we can now divide this audio band to smaller sections, we get some benefits. And this is obvious in this right-hand side here, where we are having the same out of a modern high-quality three-way monitor. So you can see that the intermodulation level, particularly in the very sensitive, very audible mid-range frequency section, is significantly smaller. We have at least a 20 dB improvement over high-quality two-way. So if this tells us a story, then at least it's saying to us that two-ways would be challenged to perform at this level if you're driving them hard. So if you want to monitor at high maximum SPL level, then your two-way monitor will be challenged, and we get a definite benefit over using a three-way. Any loudspeaker with conventional design also has this following issue. And this is the issue of off-axis sound coloration. And it's all very simple, and you all are familiar with this. So if you have more than one driver, you normally design your system so that at the crossover frequency everything's working nicely, and everything's working in sync, and you have a nice flat frequency response on your design axis. And of course the timing and the geometry doesn't work this way if you move off axis. So then the timing changes and the summation at the crossover does not happen in the same way. And this means that you will no longer see a flat curve. You will see usually some kind of a dip downwards because you have some cancellation happening. And of course this is audible. How audible this is depends partially on the steepness of the crossover filter. So this is something that some designers have tried to use. So we make the crossover filter steeper, so it's happening over a narrower band of frequencies. And this, of course, has the capacity of making this crossover region narrower. So your coloration becomes less likely to become audible when you're monitoring. Now, if we have a coaxial design, we can actually have a better solution for this, because we are actually reproducing all frequencies at the same acoustical point. And this, of course, is where this talk about the point source comes from. So we are placing these multiple drivers on the same acoustical axis. Also these two woofers here. I'll come back to this soon. So every frequency is emanating from the same point in space. So if you now move off axis, your geometry doesn't change, and you don't have this problem with the crossover anymore. So this then should translate into this kind of design having cleaner off-axis sound. And that's a nice thing, particularly if you have a challenged room, because you will become conscious of the off-axis sound in the sound color of the reverberation that you are hearing in your monitoring space. And it will have some conscious or unconscious effect on your work, because that's part of what you're monitoring. Conventional designs also have this challenge, because you are using multiple drivers and you have to place them in a relatively large baffle area. So this means that if you decide to move very close to your monitor, then again the geometry starts changing. Again the timing doesn't work nicely. So you will experience a non-flatness of your frequency response, although also on the acoustical axis, obviously the off-axis positions as well. Because of this reason, typically large monitors define a minimum listening distance. That's kind of the solution. So if you remain far away from your monitor, then the summation happens more nicely, and the monitor has actually usually been designed for this condition. Now, that's fine, but this means that you must have a relatively large room in order to do this. So these kind of conventional designs are limited, or they are influencing your choice of the monitoring room size. And as you know, obviously, we don't always have this luxury, and using a large monitoring room has some other acoustical challenges that are going to influence our work. So it would be nice to have the possibility of using this kind of high quality monitoring principle also in compact spaces, smaller rooms. Now, if you have a coaxial system, because all your audio at all different frequencies from these multiple drivers is happening on the same acoustical axis, obviously it doesn't matter how far or how near you are, because if you move close, nothing's happening, because your audio seems to be coming from the same point in space. You don't have a detrimental effect. So these product designs really offer you the luxury that you can freely choose your monitoring distance. You can be very close without any change in the flatness of the on-axis response. And that's very nice, because now you can choose your working methods based on some other constraint. You don't have to think about this anymore.